Welcome to this KDE Tips and Tricks Screencast. This time I want to show you how you can configure your panel to your liking. First of all, as you can see, I have a normal panel, just like the one that ships in the default installation of KDE, basically. So I have my tray icon here, my tray icons, my clock, my shutdown or leave button, I have my workspace switcher, I have my activities button, and I have my kick off menu button. And what I want to add is just quick launch items, just like, for example, for my web browser and my mail client. What I have to do is just go into the menu, and I have the option here to right click on the item that I want to add to the panel and choose Add to Panel. This will add an icon to the panel. As you can see here, the Chromium icon was added to the panel, but it was added to the far right. So to move this icon, I can click on this little cashew, which allows me to basically configure the different widgets or plasmoids inside the panel. So if I hover over this icon, you can see that you get a little overlay here, which allows you to either delete the icon or to configure the icon. And if you go with the mouse over the icon itself, you have the option to move the icon. So let me just move it to the far left. And if this little grayish rectangle pops up, you can then just let go and it will stick to this rectangle, just like this. And now I have added a quick launch item. But this can be a little bit nasty, especially if you are configuring lots and lots of quick launch items. Just adding them manually is not a very good option, especially if you're moving them or if you want to change the panels. So sometimes it can be very handy to have a group which contains all those quick launch items, and therefore KDE ships with a quick launch plasmoid, which you can just simply add to your panel. So just click, so let me just remove this Chromium web browser. I have either the option to just click on this cashew, and then on this pop-up I can just click the X button to remove it, or I can just right click it and say remove this icon, and this will remove the icon. What I can now do is just add some widgets, and this is a cool feature because I can add lots and lots of stuff, lots and lots of widgets, almost basically every widget that I have on that I can store on my desktop I can also store in my panel, just like, for example, the bookmarks here. Just let me drag it in here to show you how it looks like. It's just an icon, but if I just close this, if I click on it, it normally should show a menu with bookmarks, but I don't have any bookmarks, so in this case it's not showing any bookmarks. Just let me edit the bookmarks and just add a bookmark to show you that this works. So let me add a bookmark for the 7OS homepage. Oh, I have to click add bookmark here first, new bookmark, and then edit this one here. Okay, I think it should save it now, and if I click now, you can see you get this little menu with the bookmark itself, and it will then open up with the default web browser, in this case Chromium. So this is this little bookmark widget, but you can also add a widget called Quick Launch, which basically stores quick launch items. So if I just add it to the panel here, as you can see, it will, on the default installation, in this case of course, it will add 3 items: the iStuff mail client, the Dolphin file manager, and the Chromium web browser with a weird little logo. Let me just remove this bookmark to don't be distracted by this. So what I can now do, and then what I can now see, is when I click on this little cashew again, if I hover over it, these quick launch items are basically there are 3 items in the quick launch bar, but they are all recognized as one item. So if I move it around, you can see all those icons get moved also. So I can configure this also if I want to have more than 3 icons. I can configure this to enable a pop-up, which will look like this. As you can see, you get this little arrow here. If you click on here, you can hide icons even. So this is the same behavior as with the tray, where it also hides inactive icons. So this can be enabled. You have also the option to determine automatically how big the panel is, and then automatically resize and set the row size for your quick launch items, especially if you have more than 3 or 4 quick launch items. It can be very useful. You can show the launcher names if you want to. I don't think that this will work quite good on my small panel. So if you have a big panel and you want to show the launcher names as well, you can do so. The more important thing, what to do if you want to change the launcher icons. Just for example, I want to get rid of this stupid little Chromium icon here. I want the real Chromium in here. I can click on one of those items. So as you can see here, you can click on one of those and then remove the launcher or edit the launcher. In my case, I want to remove the launcher. And also just notice that if you want to add a launcher, you have to click on one of those launcher items, and what it basically does is then place the icon that you created then on the left to this icon you clicked on. Hopefully this works every time. I'm not quite sure. Just click on add launcher here, and you can then just add a launcher from your menu. In this case, I want to add the Chromium launcher, Chrome web browser. Click OK. As you can see, it put it on the left of my Dolphin icon. If I now want to just move this iStuff mail client icon, this does not work quite the way with going to the cache view here, but you have to just drag this icon to the left, and as you can see, then let it go, and it rearranged itself basically. So these are quick launch items. Also notice that you might notice if I make it a little bit bigger here in size, that those quick launch item menu entries are a little bit smaller than the normal button or the normal icons. Just let me put a normal icon of Chromium, for example, to the panel, and you can see in comparison to the other Chromium icon that this one is a little bit bigger. So you have a little visual change if you're using the quick launch item bar instead of normal icons, because the normal icons then resize almost like the icon kickoff icon menu button. So this is, I think, a view, or it's just a thing of taste how you want those icons to be stored. So let's remove this icon again. I'll make the panel a little bit smaller. You can see I have the option to just resize the panel, and you can see the icons and everything else will just smoothly adapt to this. You can also change the screen edges if you wanted to have it on the left or on the top. If you're coming from GNOME or OS 10, it might be familiar to you to set it to the top. Also notice that the cache view for the desktop view also automatically moves if you are moving the panel to one of those edges. Just like for example here, you can see it automatically adjusts itself, and sometimes it's a little bit buggy, as you can see here. And yeah, this is basically the configuration for the panel. A little introduction into configuration of the panel. You have also some other options, just like adding tons and tons of other widgets and see how they behave in the panel, because they normally behave a little bit different on the panel rather than being on the desktop. For example, the LCD weather station, I think if I add it here, let me edit here, it should behave differently. I think there's a bug with these with this panel plugin. I have to configure it first. As you can see, some of those panel plugins aren't made for the taskbar. So there, I got rid of it. I just need to add the taskbar again. Task manager. There we have it. Rearrange it. So this is, I think, also an example of how you can get rid, or how you can deal with problems. As you can see here, that the one plugin was not working. You can get also new plugins and test them out and see if they're working with your panel. Also notice that if you just, like right now, I've stuck basically on a problem for a few seconds. If you get rid of the whole panel, for example, let me just remove this whole panel. For an accident or something like this, you remove the whole panel. You also almost every time have the option to right click on your desktop and then go to add panel, and then you can add a default panel, or you can add an empty panel if you want to just reconfigure everything. But if you click on default panel, it will add a default panel. Again, just wait a few seconds with all the panel icons that you normally get. You see it looks a little bit different but than before, but it's a working. You can work on this and configure it again to your liking. So this is basically everything for this screencast. I hope you enjoyed this, and yeah, thanks for watching.